You know, somebody pointed out to me in my comment section the other day that $4 is about the going rate for a decent sized thing of coffee these days, and I thought that's a pretty good point. So this morning I went out and got some. It was 453 yen with tax for a grande latte to go, and that's almost exactly $4. I'm not going to tell you which coffee shop I went to because I'm pretty sure making fun of that company is illegal at this point and I don't want to be publicly executed. But it's another giant corporation whose products I really enjoy, but I don't really feel the need to support emotionally or financially. I kind of pay for my coffee and feel like that's the extent of my obligation to them. But after I got the coffee, I went to that thrift shop next door and I found this great hoodie and it was only $4, so I had to get that as well. Now, you might be wondering, why is he pointing out all these great things that you can get for only $4? Well, funny you should ask. I don't think you've missed it, but there's been a bit of a debate going on in the last few days about the fact that the native frame data feature coming out for Tekken 7 is going to be paid DLC. And some people think that's completely reasonable and they're happy to pay the $4, and others feel like this should definitely be free. And honestly, I can see reasonable arguments for both sides of that, which is probably why it becomes a debate like this. You have smart people on both sides, and they're both kind of right, but in different ways. But I do think a lot of people seem to be missing the most important point in this entire situation, which is, of course, that it is very, very funny. I've been smiling non-stop for the last 2 days, looking at all the jokes people are coming up with. It's hilarious. I think by the time the developers of Dead or Alive made this tweet, it officially became my favorite Tekken moment of the year so far. And I even joined in a little bit on the community page of my YouTube channel. Not because I have strong opinions about this, but because I was just really enjoying the fireworks and I didn't want them to stop. I should probably tell you what side I come down on in that debate, by the way. And I do think that this should be free content. But then the interesting question becomes, why do I think that? Why do I think it's reasonable to pay for a new character like Zafina, but I don't want to pay for a user interface feature? And we're in this weird age with video games right now where, you know, when we were kids, you bought a physical copy of something and you just owned it forever. But now we kind of pay for the video games that we play for the duration that we play them, even if it's several years. And the developers and consumers are kind of trying to figure out that landscape together and what you can and cannot monetize. I was making fun of Street Fighter when they came out with that thing where they put ads on the t-shirts of the characters in game. And Akuma's doing like the pose after the most iconic super in the game, and there's a fucking ad on his back. I think that was probably the most pathetic thing that has happened so far in the neo monetization of fighting games. But if we think about, for example, shooting games, do we think it's reasonable to buy completely cosmetic skins for a game like that? Apparently yes, because some people have built like $1 billion gambling industry around it. Do we think it's reasonable to pay for strictly better guns in the same game? Probably not, because it's competitive advantage. Okay, what about something in the middle? What about faster leveling progression in an action RPG? What about a user interface feature that teaches you about moves and frame data in a fighting game? It's an interesting question and one that we haven't figured out yet, but the reason I think outrage and stuff like this is fun but also really healthy is it's the community setting out a mark and saying, this is where we draw the line, this is where we're no longer happy with you charging us. And it's important for us to communicate that, I think, because I mean, as I pointed out in one of my posts, this is an interface feature that teaches you about moves. It's not that different, really, from the command list in-game. And so if we're fine with them charging us for this, is there anything to say that they shouldn't charge us for the command list in the next version of Tekken? Might sound fantastical, but I think the slippery slope argument is at least interesting. I heard some people say that shouldn't the person who worked really hard on making this feature be paid for his work? And that's of course true, but then again, I also know that the person who made the feature and the person who decided that it should cost $4 are not the same person. You know, the inspired process of creation and corporate decisions about marketing aren't made in the same camp. It's why movies aren't good anymore. I also heard somebody who does work in game development say that these are numbers that Namco definitely have on the screen, and they're just making them invisible, and now they just decided to lift them to the middle of the screen and start showing them, and that's not a complex thing to develop. I don't know, because I don't make video games, but I got the strong sense that I feel because this is interface and because it's geared towards teaching newer players about the game, charging for it, it made me a little bit ill at ease. So mainly, I think the situation is very, very funny and enjoyable to watch, and I haven't decided whether or not I am actually going to pay for this feature yet. So when I upload this video, I'm going to make a poll on my YouTube community page where you can vote on whether or not you think I should actually buy this, and I will take your opinions into consideration before I make that choice. The other thing that I will do, because I do think it's funny to make fun of giant corporations when they're bickering like school children. I don't think there's anything harmful in that. But I do feel sorry for people who really were excited about this feature but don't feel like they have more money to spend on this game. So I'm preparing a video right now on how you can practice learning frame data and learning about block punishment without using these in-game features, because it's something that you can do very easily and have fun doing with just a pen and paper. So I'm going to make that video, and if you don't want to buy this feature, then hopefully that can be a little bit useful for you. The other big announcement I have to make is, of course, that apparently the developers of Dead or Alive are a lot funnier than the developers of Tekken, so this is going to be a Dead or Alive channel going forward. I'm going to make my first DOA video tomorrow. It's going to be about this girl. I think her name is Mary Shirley, so look forward to that. It's going to be really interesting learning about a new game. I heard they had have 3D terrain in their stages and stuff. So that's going to be really cool. Hope you're excited about all the upcoming DOA content on the channel. For now, thank you so very much for watching this short little video, and I think even though we don't have to be sympathetic and feel sorry for giant corporations who see us as nothing but the consumer, that doesn't mean that we can't be cool to each other. So even though this is a very funny debate that is happening online, I hope we can at least be decent to one another as private people. But thank you so very much for being here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.